Ginny Fey with Real Estate One, and I'm here today with Jack Tharp of Capital Title Company. And I wanted to introduce him to you because he has some very, very valuable information to share with you regarding title insurance. But Jack, I have heard some horror stories on some things that have happened to people that didn't have the right coverage. Can you elaborate on that and tell me if I'm off base or something?
No, you're spot on, Ginny. There's some pretty crazy stuff that happens nowadays. But before we kind of get into that, can I explain kind of what title insurance is?
Absolutely.
A little bit? Because
absolutely.
That's all a little bit confusing as well. So title insurance really is just protects the buyer's ownership in a property post-close. So if there's any issues with interest in the property or anything that pops up with debates on who owns what, your insurance policy steps in and can make you whole, if you will, from a financial standpoint. If you have to go to court and you have to battle this stuff, you make a claim on your title insurance. But before I want to talk about, because there's two main differences with policies. There's an enhanced policy, also known as an EGLE's policy, but we'll just call it enhanced for right now. And then there's a standard policy. And before I talk about the differences, I just kind of want to give you an example of a friend that I have. Her name is Kim. She's actually part of Capital Title. She's from downstate. Her and her husband bought a house. They didn't enhance policy on their property. They bought their house. They got home 30 days after buying their house, and they had a note on the door. And the note on the door was from the City Planning Commission, and it basically said that they had all these violations of their property because when they bought their house, the previous owner had put a patio in the back, had put an entire sprinkler system in. And in the community where they live, you have to have all these things approved through the building and permit department there. And so they had all these violations. So they had to go back, they had to fix all those problems. And it wasn't a huge expense, it was $600. But those types of things pop up, whereas if she had an enhanced policy, she would have just made the claim, gotten paid out generally in 30 to 45 days, and she would have been made whole. So it wouldn't cost
$600 is $600.
Yeah,
and to
for
some
sure.
people, that's a lot of money, especially when you just bought a house.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it would have been made whole like right away, and so it wouldn't have cost her anything to do that. And then what that would have done is if she resold the property down the road, now there's no issues at all, right, for the next owner. And that's what we're looking at, is trying to protect the property for everybody down the line. Can I talk about the enhanced versus standard?
Yes, please do.
Is that okay? So an enhanced policy provides more than just your standard safeguards for the title to your property. It provides you with more peace of mind, if you will, and protection. So a standard policy, for example, covers 7 standard things. Really, it covers if there's an issue post-policy, if something was assigned correctly or recorded properly, or someone has an issue with your property and they think they should be able to have access to it, like an easement or something like that. So 7 basic things. Whereas an EGLE policy covers over 30, technically 33 things. And 2 of the most important, in my opinion, are the building permit and zoning violation coverage, because that covers everything from a previous owner, like with Kim. Like it would have covered that whole situation for her, so she wouldn't have had to mess around with, being out on those funds. So it covers those things. So if someone built a pole barn, that's kind of big up here too, is people build
Everybody
pole
wants
barns.
pole barns.
They do. Well, they do it without permits, unfortunately, and that's a big no-no. So, but this covers you to deal with those issues with the county or the township if something was to arise. And the most important, in my opinion, is the post-policy forgery coverage. So this covers everything. If someone takes out a refinance on your property that you own and they cash it all out and they're gone in the wind, this covers you, because you still have to go to court, you still have to battle it out, you still have to basically get everything put back into your name. Well, if that costs you $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 for attorney fees and stuff, you make a policy claim, it pays you out in 30 to 45 days and you're made whole. So it didn't cost you anything.
And I have heard that happening to people, where someone goes in and they take all the equity out of their house, and it's not even their house. But
small example. Also, I did so my wife and I have been looking for vacant property up here in northern Michigan for a long time. And
do you need a good real estate agent?
I can't say anything because I have one, and she would shoot me if I But so the thing, we've been looking for this property and we want it, but I don't want to go through a standard loan because that slows everything down. I want to be a cash buyer. So we took out a home equity line of credit. I did an entire HELOC with an unknown bank up here in northern Michigan, 100% online. I never went into a building one time.
Okay.
And I know the business, so to me, that's a huge red flag that somebody could just take a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, out on your property and never step into a building.
Wow.
That's pretty easy to
Did you have to show?
Fraudster.
Well, you could fake.
Yeah, you can fake the ID. I mean,
they
can do all that stuff because that's literally all I had to do was hold it up in front of the camera showing who I was. And that was the only time I did something in front of the camera because then they sent me the documents to have notarized. And, you know, because of what I do, I have notaries all over the place. So we notarize it and that's not a big deal. But if you're a fraudster, and usually these guys are good, that's not a big deal to get over. That's an easy.
My goodness. Okay, there's a scary thing that everybody needs to be aware of. So.
The post-policy forgery coverage is the biggest to me personally. You know, and then, so here's probably the thing that's weighing in everybody's mind. Yeah, this sounds really awesome, Ginny and Jack, but is it super expensive? No, that's the,
I know.
That's like the beauty of this whole thing. It's not expensive. The average cost is 11%. Now, 11% might seem like a big amount if you don't have anything to compare it with. So let's compare it. So if you buy a $300,000 house, you have a $300,000 policy. That policy is $1,600 to buy it, right? That's a standard policy, $1,600 bucks. So the enhanced is only $176 more.
Oh my gosh. And you get all that protection.
You get all that protection. You have all that coverage, all that peace of mind, you know, and for $176 for a lifetime of coverage, that's
does not make sense not to do it.
I think that's pretty cheap. So, but yeah, I think, you know, the more you can learn about the title insurance industry is important, especially as a homeowner or especially for someone selling their house if they've had work done on their property. You know, kind of poke around and get a little bit of information because you don't want something to come back and bite you. So feel free. I'm always available. So you can reach out to me anytime as well as yourself, maybe between the two of us.
So how can people get a hold of you, Jack?
Yeah. So we'll tag my info here in this link and you feel free. You can text, call, email. I'm literally always available. And honestly, between the two of us, all of your people and your viewers, I have two really good outlets. Really reach out to either one of us. We can answer any of your questions. It's not a big deal.
Absolutely. So, well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I think this was very beneficial to all of you watching this.
Yeah.
And get the enhanced policy. That's the bottom line.
That's right.
It doesn't cost that much more. And for the peace of mind that you have, it's fantastic. Anyway, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Everybody have a great day.
Bye now.
Bye.